Hey, you guys, grace and peace. Welcome to the Standard of Truth podcast, where we discuss theological, social, cultural, political, and educational topics from a biblical perspective. Today, I want to discuss the story of this whole grown man losing it on an airplane, all because there was a crying baby. Now, let me just say this as a mom of four, right? I've never traveled on a plane with all four of my kids when they were very, very small, right? We would always take trips that if we couldn't get there in a car, we wasn't going. And even the trips that required a plane, we were still getting in the car because traveling with four kids, four and under, like that's not for the weak. That's not for the faint at heart. And so I do understand though what it's like to travel with little ones, right? Babies get cranky depending on which leg of the flight this is. And, these flights are unpredictable. So layovers are excessive. Flights are getting canceled. Babies, first of all, babies are just babies, right? They're babies. They're unable to regulate their emotions like adults, right? The way they communicate is by crying because they can't use their words. They cannot speak. At the same time, I also agree that parents have an expectation to train, right, and discipline their children. But a baby is a little different. Like babies under 1 year old, I do think there's a way to discipline a baby. But babies cry because they have an unmet need. They could be tired. They could be hungry. They could be wet. They could just be tired of dealing with you. Whatever the reason is, though, they're still a baby. I'm going to show you a clip of this whole grown man who, like the baby, is unable to regulate his emotions and becomes so visibly distraught and annoyed because the baby has been crying on the plane that he loses it and just has this outburst, and just, to me, in my opinion, acts worse than the baby. Take a listen.
That's the sound of a baby crying on a plane and a grown man acting like an even bigger baby. The angry passenger yells, trying to quiet the baby.
Can you lower that voice?
While flight attendants tell him to calm down. But his rant grows more explosive.
No. Let's be rational. We are in a tin can with a baby in a echo chamber, and you want to talk to me about being okay?
The tirade is unfolding on a Southwest flight from Baltimore to Orlando. Passengers say the man started screaming obscenities after the baby had been crying for about 35 minutes.
Flight attendants try to reason with the passenger.
You're yelling. So is the baby. Okay, so you're a man. Did that pay extra?
Other passengers chime in, but it just gets worse.
You and shut up.
Mark Grabowski recorded the video.
Could you believe how this was unfolding as you were watching it?
No, initially, myself and a few of the passengers tried to calm the man down. He just kind of doubled down and kept at it.
It doesn't seem like yelling would quiet a crying baby.
Yeah, it's pretty counterintuitive, right? Now we got two crying people on the flight.
The woman traveling with the angry passenger looks mortified. He's still yelling, even as passengers deplane.
This is a commercial aircraft. This gentleman is not chartering a private jet where he has the aircraft to himself and he can deem what environment he wants on board. And most certainly, if you don't want to hear any noise or perhaps a disgruntled baby, by all means, there are noise canceling headphones.
Cops greet the man at the airport and later he walks away with them, showing it doesn't pay to have a tantrum over a fussy baby.
You're yelling. So is the baby.
The man did not end up getting arrested. Southwest praised the crew for their professionalism in such challenging situation and apologized to the other passengers for experiencing such unacceptable behavior.
So there, you got to see an opportunity of a whole grown man having his own little baby meltdown, his own little temper tantrum because he's unable to enjoy his flight in peace, as if everybody else on the plane was oblivious to the fact that there's a baby crying. Here are my thoughts on this. One, we are supposed to be adults, and I am noticing more and more as this world becomes more wicked and calloused and cold and more evil, that we are unable to extend grace and mercy to our fellow human image bearers when needed. I do believe that one, a number of things could have happened here. He could have been an adult and said, I need to be mad at myself because I didn't bring any noise canceling earbuds. Like there's most people who travel, and if they travel often, realize that it's a possibility it's going to be somebody loud and belligerent on the plane. There might be a baby or two um, on the plane, or you may not just want to hear some annoying conversation of the person who's sitting next to you. Like I know when I listen, I am a social butterfly. There's not a stranger I have not met. But when I fly, I don't. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to anyone. I barely want to ask for my ginger ale and my little cookie. Okay. I don't like when the flight attendants are coming down asking me if I'm thirsty or if I need anything. If I need you, I'll seek you out when I see you. But that is just me. When I travel, I don't want to be bothered. I want to enjoy sleep, floating in the air, that's being in a plane that's being suspended by the mercies of God, praying that I just get home in one piece back to my family. I don't want to talk. So, because I don't want to talk, I always make sure that I have headphones, earbuds, a movie, a sermon, a book, something to occupy and make me look engaged in other so that I don't have to talk to anybody on the plane. Now, I'm not saying that's the right way to be. I'm just telling y'all that's my travel philosophy. If I see you in the airport and we're walking through the airport, it's all love, it's all hugs. But when we get in that cabin, we get in that plane and I get settled and that overhead, I don't want to talk. I just don't. I don't know if it's because we're in such close quarters. I don't want to smell people's breath. I don't want people to spit. I just don't. I don't know. It's me. It's not you. It's me. I just don't want to talk. So, with that being said, he could have done that. Maybe he doesn't travel often. Maybe he doesn't get out much. But the fact that this is very effeminate behavior. Men, more so than women, are normally more level-headed and even killed and able to just restrain themselves even in situations that are uncomfortable and where they are annoyed. One, because most men will think through like, well, there's not really anything I can do about this. Like, I'm not in control of this situation. So I'm just going to manage it the best way I can. And it'll be over soon and it'll be okay. Well, at least that's how my husband thinks. My husband is always, if something is happening, I'm the one to just be and he's just like, listen, can you change this situation? I'm like, no. And he's like, so shut up. Like, why are you wilding out? You can't do anything about it. Why are you crying over something that you can't control or it's out of your hands? Just go to sleep. Like he's redirecting me. That's what men do. But this man, he's using he's using curse words. Other passengers are trying to be like, dude, you really need to fall back. Like you doing the most out here. Something is going on. I don't know if it's in the water. I don't know if just the diminished levels of testosterone in today's men. They are just, this was a real girly moment for him. Secondly, I'd like to say the parents. The parents, trust me, if you've had a kid that's like showing out, you're already embarrassed. You're already embarrassed because you're like, why does my kid have to be the one to make their presence known? Like, if your kid is the one that's crying in church, you're already like, oh, Lord, now all the attention is on me. Now I got to get up. I got to take you out because you got to get out whatever you need to get out. But at the same time, I'm like, well, you're a baby. Like, you don't know any better. So we're just going to be the least disruptive and take you out. But this is not a church situation. It's not a funeral. It's not a wedding. Sir, you are on a plane. It is a public plane. The baby, maybe the change in air pressure in the cabin was affecting the baby. We don't know. Maybe the baby had some sort of gastrointestinal issue. The baby got bubble guts. I don't know. But at the end of the day, there are so many other ways that you can handle a crying baby. Now, me being a mama that I am, I would have went over to that mom or family or dad, especially if it's a mom traveling by themselves, and I would have offered my assistance. Oh my goodness, what's wrong? I would have asked for permission because you just don't be putting your hands on people's baby and grabbing them. Like, I'm that old auntie, but I don't do that to strangers. Do you mind if I try? Maybe we rock, maybe we sing. I asked the flight attendants, can we just pace the aisles a little bit? I really don't want to be a total nuisance on this plane, but Lil Sarah is going in right now, and I need to rock. She needs some motion. We have to do something to help. Do you have a cookie or a snack? Something to settle the baby. Read a song, read a story, sing a song. We got to do something. I would have been that mom to offer my assistance and help. You don't think of your neighbor. You don't want to put more pressure and add to the level of embarrassment that the parent is probably already experiencing. But he couldn't do that because all he doing is thinking about himself. And so the part that I found funny was the guy who was filming it is just cracking up. He's just laughing because now it's like this whole other grown man is showing out looking crazy. But here's what I want you to notice. In today's society, one of the reasons why we keep seeing stuff like this is because there's no accountability. You don't get to show out on a plane just because you are annoyed that there is a baby crying and be a disruption mid-flight to now the whole plane got to land. We got to I don't, it's not, what's it called? Deplane the people, and the police got to be called for you to get carried away. And now we have to talk to you like you're a child. No, that man should have been arrested. He should have been arrested and fined, because if you don't handle lawlessness, disruption, disturbance of the peace, right, to where there are consequences associated to said actions, it will continue to happen. Just like parents and children, if you parent a child and you don't enact consequences, they don't learn. They don't learn and they don't associate, oh, I'm not supposed to do this because when I do this happens. They don't make that association. They don't make that connection. He should have been arrested. Nothing happened to him outside of the police taking him to go walk it off because he was just too hot and needed a minute. Why are we handling the adult with kid gloves and not handling the kid with kid gloves? And then the last point. This just goes to show you the disdain for babies and children that is growing more and more in our country. Children are a blessing from the Lord. Granted, they love vipers and diapers because they got a sin nature just like the rest of us, but they are still a blessing. Our culture hates children. They do. They don't look at children as these are the arrows that we're shooting out into the world and as the next generation. But children are viewed as a nuisance and a burden and an inconvenience to society that we should just put away because what purpose do they serve? Sir, you at one point was somebody's baby. And if the way you act now is any indication to the type of child or toddler you was, I can see people like saying we don't want to be around him. But what if you were treated like that as a child? That's just something to think about. A lot of times, I put myself in my kid's shoes and I'm like, you know what? I was a kid once. And it doesn't excuse away, poor, bad behavior because you do have standards and requirements. But you also have to understand the mind of the child. Folly is in the mind of a child. They don't know. That's why they need adults, people who have passed the stage of childhood and adolescence and who can actually impart some wisdom and guidance and objective reality into the lives of children. But when our society is very dismissive and they don't protect children, but they want to expose children to adult things such as transgenderism and sexual perversion, it demonstrates that they don't love children. They don't have any desire to care or protect them, but they're actually the despised of our culture. So let me know, what do you think? What do you think about this whole grown man throwing this temper tantrum on the plane? It looks like he was traveling with a female and she's just like, oh God, you embarrassed me on every possible occasion. That is just, I don't know. It's something stinking in the milk. I don't know if the prevalence of soy milk and this high estrogen diet is what's causing men to act this way, but it was just very, very concerning. And it just goes to show you that people actually, their hearts are waxing cold with hatred and disdain for the most vulnerable among us. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I'd love to engage with you in the comment section. Grace and peace.